How is it that it's only 60 degrees here and I'm still like, oh, it's so warm?
Oh my goodness.
Welcome,
That's good
everyone.
to me because it's 94 here and it's just
I
right.
know. I'm going to be back in Vegas in about 10 days and I can't wait. Hey, everybody, welcome to Keto Chat for Women. Where's my introduction? I don't know. Why do I not even know what I'm supposed to say on my own show here? Uh, welcome, everyone. We are live. And today, oh, I didn't want to put that up there. What am I doing? This, you can tell it's like I've a novice and never done this before. Welcome everyone. This show, let's see. Let me get the questions I have. This is fun because this is why I actually go. I like to do it live and then I go back and edit it. So if you don't like this part, everyone, hold on. It's gonna get better. Um, do you put everyone else in your life first and neglect yourself because it seems selfish to take care of yourself? Do you worry that others do you worry what others will think about you if you indulge in self-care? Do you simply not have enough time to do anything for yourself? Well, this episode is for you. Today on Keto Chat for Women, I'm going to be chatting with my friend Mary Gleason, who's an executive intuitive coach, author, also a psychic medium and hypnotherapist. She does a lot of really great stuff. And we're going to talk about why being selfish is a good thing and kind of unraveling all those things. All right. Aging naturally, men and women intrigued. Be selfish. Hi. Thank you. Welcome. This is an interactive show, so we love it when you actually give comments. I'm glad you're here. Yes, we're going to talk about why being selfish actually is really a good thing, even though most of us are afraid of it. So, welcome to the show, Mary.
Thank you so much. You are talking about my favorite topic and one that I go through with a lot of people, especially women, not only women, but especially women. And I like to think of it as being self full.
Self full.
It's
I,
really important.
I love that.
Um, and women are terribly afraid of being seen as selfish if they do something that's just for them. And I want to just throw out there that if you're not doing something that's just for you, you're teaching others how to treat you. You're teaching
Mm,
your children that it's not okay to do anything good for themselves. You're teaching your own psyche to turn away from pleasure. And yes, being a mom can bring you pleasure and all those things, but there are some pieces of you that just have to be yours.
mm.
Some piece of you that's just for you.
This is going to be fun. So stick around here. I'm going to do the medical disclaimer. Everyone, welcome to episode 62 of Keto Chat for Women. I'm your host, Carole Freeman, and I have a master's in nutrition and clinical health psychology. I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist and a board certified keto nutrition specialist. I specialize in helping women follow a 40. I don't know what is wrong with me today. I can't read. My brain is all over the place. Anyways, I'm a keto coach near you that specializes in helping women 40 plus follow a keto diet for sustainable weight loss. Just so you know, the lawyers want you to know this show is meant for educational and entertainment purposes only. It is not medical advice, even if I can't say the words coming out of my mouth. Not medical advice, nor intended to diagnose, prevent, treat, or cure any condition whatsoever. If you do have concerns about your specific health, your specific medical condition, please contact your personal health care professional. All right. That is that part we got to get out of the way. Easy for me to say, right? um, Mary, let's go back and just go back into how you got into the work that you do. So you do wear different hats in your professional life, and um, so, and I was trying to remember how we even met each other. Did we meet in our hypnotherapy training, or is it different?
No, we actually met in the very beginnings of the East Side Business Networking Group.
Okay.
And but we both did do hypnotherapy training, and um, and we kind of instantly connected because we're both so good at seeing there's a lot more to the big picture than whatever anybody is presenting to you
Mm-hmm.
at that moment. Make sense?
I'm glad you remember because I was probably in the middle of the night. Usually, like when random thoughts come to me, I was like, "Wait, how did I even meet Mary?" I remember the same thing where it was like instant connection. Our souls knew each other from way back when, probably. So, aging naturally is sharing a comment. If we don't have some pleasure in any given day, we will eat indulgently and overindulge eventually. That can be
Absolutely.
true for a lot of my ladies.
There's
So,
also another outcome from that too, which is we will become resentful. We will become ill. We will become the martyr. We will become known as the person who will take care of everything and not the person who ever needs taking care of.
oh, it's so true. And then, yeah, like you said, the resentment sets in because why does
Mhm.
nobody ever think about me after I do all the things for them?
Yep. Yep. And you will get physically ill. So, however it affects you, that's the part of the body that it's going to impact. So, let me just tell you a little bit more about my background.
Oh,
So, I
excellent.
have a
Excellent.
long history in nonprofit management,
Mm,
mostly through fundraising, as department head and vice president, and all kinds of things from different size organizations. And that put me squarely on the leadership team for each organization. And after a while, I started to notice um, it wasn't being very rewarding for me, but I felt somehow I had to be doing this stuff. And I became ill because I
mm,
didn't look out for me. I lived into what everybody else's idea of success was. And while it was working for me, it wasn't working for me.
mm,
And I ended up with 5 stomach ulcers and basically a nervous breakdown. And I
mm,
started working with an Ayurvedic practitioner, with functional medicine, who said to me, look, we don't get sick on one level, and so we don't get healthy on one level. We
mm,
have to really take in all the ways you got here in order to help you get out of it. So we can't
mm,
just fix the holes in your stomach, because then it leads to another kind of neuroses if we don't get to the root cause, very much like your listener was saying. So, what I did then was part of my wellness journey was to sit 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes in the evening in silence. And you can call it meditation. It works better for me if I say I'm just going to sit here in the silence. And that very quickly became the busiest time of my day. I had whole lots of concepts that just sort of downloaded, and I had all kinds of visits from past loved ones and spirits I didn't even know wanting me to pass along these messages. And it hit me
mm,
like a ton of bricks, that I used to live this way all the time. And somewhere along the line, I turned it off. I turned it off in favor of this very well engineered, orchestrated world, and in favor of data. And as I came out of that fog and started my consulting practice, I could see people doing the same thing over and over again. So
mm,
while I did work with a number of nonprofits in a consulting capacity, I also worked with a number of executives in any sector, to help them understand their own intuition. And I
mm,
call it bring your whole brain to work, BYOB, because you could see people disregarding their intuition in favor of data. And I'm like, wait, you need them both. You need them both. Let's
mm,
get this together. So, um, that's how I got into that. But I also started hanging out my shingle as a psychic medium after I took 2 years of training. And then I also trained for 2 years to be a hypnotherapist. And voila, you put it in the kettle and you stir it around and you say, I can't think of a place that doesn't need all of this all of the
mm,
time.
mm,
And the biggest part for me to overcome was having to get really honest about what I really wanted to do
mm,
and get really selfish about pursuing it.
mm. I want to go back to the first assignment. I love how you have to get well on multiple levels.
So,
That
physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, all four.
and I think one of the most common challenges the ladies I'm working with have is they just feel overwhelmed and too busy. They're just too busy. There's no time for anything in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can imagine when they're told to get well, you've got to address all these areas, they're going to go, I don't have time for all that. I just want a pill. I want the quick fix. I want to do this quickly. So I'm just thinking, take us back to when you had the assignment or the homework or whatever it was where you had to
Mm-hmm.
sit for 20 minutes twice a day, and you ended up with a beautiful gift out of it. So it definitely was worth it. But a lot of times people feel like they just don't have the time. I think some of it's just they have a habit of being really, really busy. And so taking the time to be quiet and still is overwhelming. But what was your approach when you heard that that was part of your assignment? Did you feel excited to get sit quietly? How did you talk yourself into being okay with sitting quietly for that long?
I felt like I didn't have a choice. I was
Mm,
hitting rock bottom, and I didn't have a choice because I had gone the whole Western medicine route, and they just want to treat symptoms. This was the
mm,
first person who said, we can reverse this whole thing so you don't end up back here.
mm,
And I'm like, okay, I'm
mm,
yours. I give of myself. I trust you. And it did require a lot of trust because some of the assignments were like, really, come on, give me a break. But then as I just said, okay, I'm going to try it anyway, I will tell you the first thing that came out of that was how easy it was to find 20 minutes in the morning and 20
mm,
minutes in the evening. That's 40 minutes a day I would have told you I didn't have.
mhm,
So that's one. The second thing is learning to delegate. If you don't have
mm,
that time already, what can you stop doing for others so you can do for yourself? Now, if you have toddlers, obviously you can't say, sorry, you're now in charge of your laundry. But if you have 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds, you can. You can say, here you go. Here's how you take care of yourself. You can do this. You can say to your husband, let's just take your shirts. You take your shirts to the cleaners. I'm not going to iron them. Not that anybody does this, but they did when I was, my husband was wearing suits every day. And I would gladly do his shirts because, as an aside, I love to iron, but it's time consuming. And so I'd say, you're in
mm,
charge of your shirts and they're 99 cents a piece at the dry cleaners. Go for it. I mean, so you find simple ways to not be in charge of other people's lives. You stop making dental appointments for your husband. You stop
mm,
making the next orthodontic appointment for your kids. Pick up the phone, let them pick up the phone and make an appointment. They can do that.
mm,
And you just give them, see what they've got on this day in these times, and they can do that. So part of it is delegating the things that can be
mm.
delegated and not having our self-worth be totally wrapped around the fact that we can run five other people's lives when in fact we can't run our own.
Let's talk about that more because as we're I'm just gonna play not I don't devil's advocate, but like I'm thinking of personality types that I know that they're gonna be I don't think trigger is the right word, but like the things you're saying are gonna be like, but you don't understand. And I'm thinking of specifically the control freak type and
Mm-hmm.
freak word whatever, but they don't feel comfortable or safe unless they are doing all the things. And I love how you ended that by saying that their personality or their identity is wrapped up in controlling and running other people's lives. So you
Mm-hmm.
talk about that a little bit more about those people that like
Yeah.
they are afraid to do all those things. Either like you said, their personality's wrapped up. Like, no, I love doing all these things for other people. How do they let go of that and begin to see that that's actually
Mm-hmm.
not a positive, that it's actually causing them dis-ease in their life? Hi, Carrie in Redmond.
Hi, Carrie. So I'm not here to convince anybody. I'm here to say, if you look, there are ways. I can tell you, though, where it leads to resentment, to other bad habits, to frustration, if you don't acknowledge it. So, for example, I'm thinking of a friend of mine who's always been like a mother to her husband. And that worked for her because she likes things done her way. Now they've been married a long time and the kids are getting older, and all of a sudden she's getting resentful that she has to do all this for him. And so the conversation quickly turned to, that worked for you for a long time. And please understand, he hasn't changed, you have. So the conversation then has to be around the fact that, oh yeah, I have changed. I've decided I don't want to do this anymore. So back off the resentment, and what kinds of conversations can you have with your spouse to then go back and say, I really don't want to do all this anymore. What do you need from me to be more independent? And see what the answer is. I will also say, oh gosh, we do ourselves a huge favor when we start jettisoning all the yeses in our lives and learn that no is a complete sentence. So you don't have to run the bake food sale for the PTA every year to be a good mom. And you don't have to care what others think about you if you say no. And that is really hard for us. We really worry about what other people will think of us if we don't do something. And my thing is, it's not your business what they think of you. Let it go. Nor can you control it. Just by doing it doesn't mean they're thinking nice things about you. I mean, just let it go. And I think the closer we get to 50, the more we start jettisoning relationships that aren't the best for us. We don't hang out with as many friends anymore because, we're just not in the party mood. We want the relationships with equal give and take. And for me, honestly, I had to risk my marriage. I really did. I was changing the deal from the get-go. But I did start with the conversation of, you haven't changed. You didn't do anything wrong. I'm changing, and it's taking me in this very weird woo-woo path, and I'm committed to that path. Now, that was not easy for my husband, and and I changed up my whole diet. I ate healthier foods, which weren't what he was after, and he felt like I was going somewhere without him. And what I said to him is, it's your choice that it's without you. You get to choose. You get to choose whether or not you want to support me. Understanding that it doesn't mean you have to become totally intuitive. It doesn't mean that you have to start speaking to dead relatives just because your dead relatives keep coming to me. But you can decide that you're going to get in the way, or you're going to get out of the way. And trust that I still love you. And when the kids were little, he didn't get up for work until 7 o'clock-ish, 6:45. And I was really missing the gym when I started to stay home because I used to go before work. And I finally figured out they still have the 5:30 in the morning classes. So I would get up and be out of the house by 5, go to the 5:30 class, do a little bit of work on the weights, and be back home when his alarm was going off. Perfect. That was my me time. Nobody could stop me. Nobody cared to stop me. Sorry. I'm very sorry. I'll turn that down right now, people. But you just have to make decisions about what's most important to you so you can attract those people that support that and like that about you in your life. And it is brave, and it is bold, and it is so rewarding. And you don't owe anybody an explanation until they get it. You just have to communicate it lovingly and calmly. And if they lean in a genuine way to want to understand more, great. And if they don't, that's okay. It's not your job to convince them. But My kids, when they were young, went to a middle school or to an elementary school, and so many of the moms were sabbatical on sabbaticals or had left Microsoft.
Mm,
And the teachers went nuts because they were constantly in the classroom and organizing things. And it's like, you're not the CEO of your kid's life.
mm,
Please go away. Go start an Etsy store. Do something fulfilling. But your kids aren't, they don't exist to fulfill you.
mm,
So, if your kid you plan this wonderful birthday party and they're not showing gratitude, have you even stopped to think of why they're not showing gratitude? And it's because their best friend called them a name.
mm,
It's like,
mm,
did you throw the party for them or for you? Trying to figure.
mm,
So I think there's lots of questions we have to ask ourselves along the way. I'm sort of down the rabbit hole here, but I'll
mm,
just bring it back and saying, how does it benefit me to not take care of me? How does it benefit me not to be a little bit selfish while I raise children to be completely selfish? Or I'm in relationships where I don't ask enough of my partner, but I do too much for them. How does
mm,
that benefit? And what is it costing you? Because it's costing you something.
mhm,
And how much longer do you think you want to do that?
mm.
And selfish can be just those 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes in the evening. It's a perfectly good place to start.
I had one of my ladies that we uncovered. She was struggling with not getting enough sleep, and she identified that that was, triggering poor eating habits, because after she didn't get enough sleep, then she just kind of wanted to eat everything. And that's, hormonally, we know that that happens because of cortisol changes and all that kind of stuff. So we identified that more sleep was good for her, not only for her eating habits, but just to health in general. And, kind of peeling back the layers of the onion and figuring out what was the root of this. Um, it was that she was staying up very late in the evening after everyone else went to bed. And that was her time. That was her me time. And she didn't see it that way. She just labeled herself as a night owl. It was just, I liked that. And as soon as I pointed out that, like, that was you, and I said, well, what if you changed things so that you weren't doing as many things during the day and you could actually have some time for yourself during the day? Oh, no, I couldn't do that. That's selfish. And I said, well, but you are taking that time anyways. You're taking that time in the evening.
Then you're
And
taking it out of something else you need desperately.
right. And so the guilt of feeling selfish for needing something for her own self, having needs as a human being, is so ingrained in how, I don't know what it is it society? Where's it come from that women, we're told now in this day and age that we can have it all, we can do it all and work full time and run our household and make our
Yeah.
iron our husband's shirts and take care of the grandkids too, because everybody's busy and they need me to babysit for them. And then, well, I don't have time to eat right. I don't have time to exercise. I don't have time to go grocery shopping for myself. I don't have time to cook these meals. And the truth is that we all have the same amount of time. It's deciding what we're spending that time on, and is it aligned in for the best health of the entire family. We use the
Yeah. You're
analogy of that.
not required to take care of your grandchildren. If you want to help, you can say, I'm available on Thursdays. You don't have to take on the whole job. And that's okay, because then your adult children can find ways to meet their child's needs. That's, where you're not saying no, but you're not saying you can just use me. And I know there's a lot of different situations in there, so I'm speaking in broad terms,
Mhm.
but there's some place in there where there's a yes for you and you just got to take it. I put out a blog post a couple months back about the importance of being selfish. It got more responses than any other blog post I've ever shared. And people kept saying to me, I can't take that kind of time because what will others think?
Mm.
So I think the word selfish got a bad rap. It's why women don't make as much money. It's why,
Mm.
it's why we're always second in line kind of thing. Because we don't stand up and say, I am a whole and complete person. And part of that includes time for me. You know, I don't have any time. I've got to take care of the kids because after work, my husband joined 2 golf leagues. Excuse me? Okay. What if you negotiated with your husband? You golf 1 night a week and I go out 1 night a week.
Mm.
And even if that going out 1 night a week is sitting in the library reading in quiet, it's your 1 night a week.
Mm.
It's negotiable, but you have to talk. You have to communicate it. And you're not going to be good to anybody if you're dead. So this need to do all of this busyness and you don't even know where it's getting you, except other people might like you better.
Mm.
Actually, they'll just know who the sucker is. Let's get Carole. She'll do it.
Mm.
And we all know that person, right?
Mm.
The
Mm.
PTAs all know that person. Everybody knows that person
Mm.
because they won't say no.
Well, let's go down that the path of maybe a little bit of a wake up call for people that are like, well, maybe someday I'll get around to doing stuff for me, but right now, just I have to do all these things, and
Mm-hmm.
if I don't, the dishes aren't going to get done the way that they need to be done, and the groceries aren't going to get bought the correct way, and the so someday, it's not that important right now.
There's a huge difference between things not getting done and not getting done the correct way, right? There's more than one way to skin a cat. Really, I remember many, many moons ago, I had a boyfriend who I was folding my laundry and watching TV with him, and he just started picking up the laundry and folding it too. And he goes, "Uh-oh, I don't fold my towels the same way you do." And I said, "You're folding my laundry. You can fold it any way you want." Right? You have to let go of how it gets done in favor of the fact that it is getting done and you didn't have to be the one to do that. And yep, things can get messy and all kinds of things. My daughter has a son for whom order is really, really important for him to be able to function. But he's getting older now. And I said, but you've already set up the order. Now it's up to him to learn to live with it. And you can ask him, and he will respond appropriately. So we've got a million excuses about why it has to be our way, but that's what they are, is excuses. There is some sound reasoning, but that doesn't mean it owns you and controls you, or it shouldn't. Does that
Hmm.
make sense?
Yeah. So everything you say, I have 5 more questions I want to ask about it. So just I'm trying to write down little bits to remind myself the things I want to talk about more too. So talk about then. So we have the misconception that there's a finite amount of time, which kind of there is, but we think if we spend this time on us, that means it takes away from all the other stuff I have to do, all the other things that people need me to do, and it reduces everyone's quality of life if I take time for me. Let's talk about the idea that when you take time for you to meet your human needs, how it actually increases everyone's quality of life.
Absolutely. My mom went to night school most of my growing up. She got her bachelor's and then she got her master's. And at the time, it just was. I didn't think about it. But I picked up a lot of the slack around the house. And when I got older and had my own kids and stuff like that, for some reason, I just started getting resentful that nobody did this for me, kind of thing.
Mm.
And I had to really reason it through to say, My mother showed me how to have a fulfilling life. And she was still there. She still cared for us. She still did a lot of things, but she made me know how to do things for myself. And that made me feel really great. I loved being able to stand on my own 2 feet. She wasn't negligent, but I would have led you to believe she was at the time.
Mm.
But then I turned around and I said, just because I wanted my mom to do everything for me doesn't mean she had to. And I'm really resentful because I'm the one doing everything for everybody else.
Mm.
So I thought, you know what I have to do? I have to find the balance here that works for me and for my kids. And so I did. From the time they were really little, like I would do the laundry, but I would purposely put their laundries in separate baskets because they had to learn to put away their clothes. Then I started doing this thing as they would get older, which I would put the wrong clothes in the wrong basket, or, put some pieces in there, and they'd say, Mom, this isn't mine. And I'd say, oh my goodness, what do you think you'll do about it? And they'd say, okay, I'll take it to the other one's room. That's a good solution. So my kids would come home from school with just whatever was on their mind, and they would be really upset. And I was the best listener and a really lousy fixer.
Mm.
So I would say, oh my gosh, that's something. What do you think you'll do? And then they would talk through all the options.
Mm.
They would come up with the right solution for them. And sooner or later, they would say, if I go to Mom with this, she's going to ask me what I'm going to do about it. And I'd have to think. And then they'd come up with a solution. And after a while, they would just tell me how it came out. I wouldn't even know about the situation necessarily.
Mm.
That means it's not on my plate. And I see them as very competent people.
Yes. That's one of the lessons people can take from this is that if you continue to do everything for everyone else, they never will learn how to take care of themselves.
And that they are not their own responsibility, and they are.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important they learn to pick up their toys at the end of the day.
Mm.
Not because the house has to be immaculate, but because we clean up our own messes in life.
Mm. And you were teaching them such valuable skills of thinking things through and coming up with
Mm-hmm.
solutions for things rather than needing
And they
somebody else
always
to fix things.
and they always did. They came up with great things. It didn't
Mm.
require me going and knocking on somebody else's door and saying, your kid hit my kid or whatever, right?
Mm.
I mean, there's some big things where you got to be right next to them
Mm.
while they implement their solution. But for the most part, they came up with their own solutions.
Mm.
Then they felt great about it, and they had a friend here, and it wasn't on my plate.
Mm. Mm. The other analogy that maybe some of you have heard then is about on the airplane where they say, mothers, put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you
Yes.
put it on your child. And the reason for that is that if you put it on your child and then you die from lack of oxygen, what good are you going to be to
Right.
taking care of your child? And that's very true in your families as well, is that if you don't
Yeah.
take time, if you don't take the time to care for yourself, if you don't selfishly take time for yourself, you're going to end up with a couple of ulcers or some other health problem. And I know a lot of my ladies end up with that's their wake up call often for doing keto and weight loss and changing their eating habits is they do have some really significant health problem
Mhm.
that comes up. So they didn't put the oxygen mask on themselves. They're struggling for air. The child's doing great and fine, but they're actually end up shortchanging their child because their quality of life, their health is going to
Right.
suffer the ability to actually be there when the child really does need them. And so taking that little bit of time to put the self-care mask on yourself, you actually
Mhm.
expand your ability and the quality of life and time that you can give to others when they really do need you.
Absolutely. And that tends to be an overused analogy, but it's so perfect because you will pass out and your kids will still not have their masks on, or
Mhm.
maybe they do, but what good is it if you're not there? So I love that analogy. There was something you said in there and I wanted to revisit it and now it's kind of drifted away, but um, you're teaching, this is, I just might be making a jump here, but you're teaching other people how to treat you.
Mm-hmm.
Are you the maid? Are you the coat rack? Are you the cook and the bottle washer? I mean, really, you're always teaching people how to treat you.
Mm-hmm.
And is that what you want? Do you want other people to treat you the way you are training your kids and your husband and maybe your coworkers to treat you and your friends and the PTA? Or do you want them to say, she's capable and competent, let's see what we can ask of her? And you can say yes or no. You can say yes or no. I mean, this sense of obligation that we carry as a woman is just silly.
Mm-hmm. Well, and next, let's talk about needs on a different level as well. So we've talked a lot about the overdoer, the control freak, maybe in the household, the one that's doing everything for everyone. But we have a lot of different needs as humans, and not just need for sleep and water and that, but we have human connection needs and relationship needs and having self-worth in the world. Right now I'm running one of the programs I run about once a year is called the Pathway to End Emotional Eating. And we work through some stages of things. The very first thing that we do is learn to name our emotions. And then the very simple concept that almost none of us have learned is that when we have feelings that are ones that feel good to us, the comfortable feelings, that's our body's language telling us that our needs are being met. And when we have a feeling that feels uncomfortable to us, that or emotion, feeling, I'm using those interchangeably. But when we have an uncomfortable emotion, that's our body's language of telling us that we have a need that's not being met. And so pause right now and identify in your life, do you tend to have a lot of uncomfortable emotions or feelings that keep cropping up? And that is your sign that you have an unmet need as a human being. There is this really cool website that I love. We work a lot with this called humansystems.co, and they have emotions and feeling needs on there. I want to bring up their needs thing right now because it comes into play with what we're talking about. Because basically, what we're talking about is that being selfish so that you get your needs met. And I want to show that there are so many more needs that we have as humans than you maybe even think of, right?
Okay.
So I want to. Okay, this is a very, very basic one. And I have to get to this one and then do the screen share. Video screen share. There we go. This one. Okay. I love this. You can order from this website, humansystems.co, and they've got emotion wheels and then need wheel. So this is, and they go from very simple to very complex. So as humans, we have 4 different categories of needs.
Oh, I
And
like this.
yeah, and then it goes, there's the more complex one. And then actually, I think there's just 2. Okay, yeah, there's just 2. So we'll start with the one that's a little more less complex. And so I challenge you as you're struggling with, well, I don't have needs. You do have needs, and they may not be what you think they are. And so for our ladies, we're walking through and identifying feelings, and then we then take the time to look at the needs wheel and go, okay, so what's the need behind this emotion that I'm having? And they're starting to find out things of like, so people with the same emotion that keeps coming up. So I think overwhelm is a common thing. These ladies, hypothetical ladies we've been talking about that are doing everything in their family and they're feeling overwhelmed and they don't have any time. That they've discovered that their need that they have behind that overwhelmed feeling is different for each of them. And so for those of you watching, listening to this, looking at the needs wheel. What are some of the things that are lacking in your life? And then typically what I found in doing this work is that they kind of clump all in one area. So you might find that, like, wow, I have a lot of things in my relationship quadrant.
Yeah, for those who can't see this, can you just review the four major groups
Yeah.
quickly?
Okay. Good. Thanks for reminding me that this will be
Sure.
audio also. So this needs wheel. So it's basically a wheel that has four different quadrants, and one quadrant is safety. Another quadrant is relationship. Another one is growth, and another one is individuality. And then under each of those quadrants, there are 2, 4, 6, there are 8 different um, needs that fall under that category. So, for example, under safety, we have fairness, truth, peace, order, control, privacy, schedule, boundaries.
Mhm.
And do you think I should read all of them?
Well, let's go to
Okay.
individuality,
Okay.
where you have freedom, choice, self esteem, power, value, creativity, originality, and recognition. I love what's in that particular one because those are the things that come under selfish in
Mm,
so
mm,
many ways. If I take time to be creative, that's not about putting on the best event ever or whatever, but things that bring me joy just for me, or the best birthday party for somebody else, and I don't have an artistic bone in my body, but I'm very creative.
mm,
And it took me a long, long time to figure that out. And I am. And you're creative with your stand up comedy and that sort of thing. Doesn't it make you take time to write whatever it is you want to say when you're doing your comedy? It takes me time to write my blogs. I love writing time. That's where my stuff comes out. So that doesn't benefit my immediate family.
mm,
It
mm,
doesn't benefit if I were working in an office somewhere or for a corporation. It benefits me. And it's okay to carve out time for that.
mm,
And when people recognize you for those things, they're not recognizing Joey's mom or Mark's wife. They're recognizing you. I'm sure nobody ever came up to me and said, wow, Mark's shirts look really nice every day. Good going. I'm positive of it.
uh,
But I can tell you that when they say, I read your book and I really appreciated this part, I read your blog this week and you really got me thinking, that's recognition in my soul. And it's just me.
mm,
And it a powerful, powerful feeling. Yes, I want people to think I raised my kids well because um, they're not ex-murderers or anything. So that's pretty good. But if they don't think I raised my kids well, or they don't think I raised them right, I don't really care.
mm,
So, and it's not even necessarily because I met their kids. Although
mm,
sometimes, I have to say, sometimes that's in there. But I'm just saying, what are the things that that you have agency over? And I know that word gets used a lot, but
mm.
it's the truth. You're your own agent, and where are you giving it away? So I remembered, and this ties back into it, Carole, if you'll just stay with me for another minute here. I remembered what I wanted to say earlier, and this still dovetails. When I got stomach ulcers, I quickly learned that the gut is the seat of personal power. It is the solar plexus chakra. It is where you, first of all, love yourself. It is ego, it is self esteem. It sits right there. I put 5 holes in my gut. I was leaking it away. I was giving it away. I was saving nothing for me. Where you get sick is what you need to pay attention to, because those things were knocking on your door trying to get your attention long before you got sick. And for me, it was, I'm in the wrong field. I'm doing things that don't bring me joy. I'm good at them and I hate them. Just because we're good at something doesn't mean we should have to do it. And I just gave everything away to everybody else, and there was nothing left for me. And I was no good to my family, probably for a good year after that. And I did not wake up one morning with 5 stomach ulcers. They kept coming and coming and coming. And that's when I went, oh, this is when my intuition, this is when my guides, this is when the world was trying to get my attention. A little heartburn, a little stomach ache, and it's like, you're not getting the message. You're just treating the symptoms and going back out and doing the same thing day in and day out. For a long time, when I did want to go back to work and the kids were little, I didn't put words to that yet. But my husband would come home and start talking to me about his day, and I started getting a little resentful because I wanted to have a day where it wasn't Barney tapes and Sesame Street and singing the Pick Up Your Toys song, right? I wanted adults. And I kept getting laryngitis. For no reason, my voice would go. And sometimes it would go for an hour and sometimes it would go for days. And when I think about that now, as much as I've learned about the chakras and stuff, is every day I was speaking a lie. I wasn't telling my truth. And if I want clear and open communication, I need to speak what's in my heart. When I finally said, I want to go back to work, I didn't have any more laryngitis. And you know what my husband said? Okay. I'm like, here I'm preparing for this big thing. He said, well, what does that mean? What does it look like? Clearly you've thought about this, and some things I had thought about, some things I hadn't. I said, I don't know exactly, but, I don't want to give up everything, but I wouldn't mind doing some things differently. But we have these huge blowouts and we have these huge things happening in our minds that we know are just going to be the consequences if we're a little bit selfish, and then they don't materialize.
Oh, that reminds me of a story of one of my ladies that was really struggling with, avoiding junk foods and candy and sugary things that just didn't make her feel good. And she's like, well, but I have to have them in the house for the kids. They expect those foods and they eat those foods and they need those foods. And well, my husband as well. And she finally, after having so much struggle with it, she got brave enough to have a conversation with them and ask. And I suggested things like, well, maybe see if they'd be willing for a week or two, just to give you that space to not have them in the house, put them in the garage, various options of getting them out of her sight. And what she found was exactly what you reported, is when she said, hey, whatever the solution was, they were like, oh, yeah, no, Mom, it's fine. We don't even care about those things. We thought you liked those. You're the one that keeps buying them. We don't care.
Yeah. And we tell ourselves it's for somebody else. And we tell ourselves they won't understand, and we didn't give them a chance. I mean, how many times have we had a fight with our partner in our head? And by the time you get home or they get home, you're so mad at them. And they haven't even been a part of the conversation, because he'll just say this and then I'll say that, and blah, 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 and it hasn't even happened yet. So again, bravery in all things. And the ego tells us our world will fall apart if we're not there to hold it all together. So our egos may take a hit when we find out, oh, well, I can make my own dentist appointment, kind of thing, or you're the one who eats it, Mom, kind of thing. Our egos can take a hit. but we're stronger than that. We're stronger than ego.
Hmm. Our family members, our friends are so much more capable than we give them credit for. I remember a long time ago, my son just turned 28, but I remember a long time ago, remember when we had like videotapes when we would like videotape our families and all these
The
things?
camera's
And
up here. Yeah.
yeah, I found one that was us getting ready for Thanksgiving, and it was just kind of panning around as everybody was kind of doing their little tasks. And I saw my 3-year-old son. He was 3 years old at the time, and he was standing on a chair in the kitchen next to the counter, and he was making the mashed taters, and he had the beaters, the electric hand mixer thing. A 3-year-old. And at this age, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I let him do that. But he was perfectly capable of understanding, don't put your fingers in there. And he was helping out and doing some of the tasks in there. And so,
And he probably felt great that he got to help. It wasn't
mhm,
go be busy. You're in the way. It was like, yes, we value what you can bring to the table.
yeah, yeah, building their self esteem. Yes.
Yeah. You know, if we really want other people to succeed, whether they're our children, our spouse, our the people we might manage at work, our coworkers, if we really want them to succeed, the best thing to do is not do it for them.
Mm,
Support them, applaud them, do your thing.
mm,
This is silly, but I have this little analogy thing that I use with a couple of different clients where I said, that person in the office that always makes sure there's a birthday card for everybody and sends it around to make sure that there's a card on your desk on your birthday. Yeah. When's her birthday?
mm,
And they look at you like you have three heads. And I'll say, that's the one person who doesn't get a card.
mm,
Don't be that person. You deserve to have other people say happy birthday. Don't
mm,
do it for everybody else. And then be sad on your birthday because nobody did it for you because you have trained them. You have trained them that your birthday doesn't matter
mm.
or that you'll go get your own card. Right? So just stop it. Just stop
Mm.
it.
And then they're
And
probably very resentful that nobody even thought of them after
yeah,
all that they've done.
eventually it does. They'll say no, but eventually
Mm-hmm.
I do everything for everybody. Nobody does anything for me. Well, did you tell them you needed something?
Mm,
And the solution I came up with this one woman was you put the birthdays out on a calendar at the beginning of every year, and whoever looks at it looks at it. And if they want to get somebody a card, they will. Move along, move along.
mm,
So there's a lot of ego,
mm-hmm.
and ego's job is to keep us safe, and it does it by keeping us small.
Mm,
Better not do that, might fail. They might laugh. People won't like you. They keep us really small, right? You just do the birthday parties. That's what you're good at. Because what if you went out and actually like succeeded at something that was just for you? I mean, what would they say? Ego just loves to rain on our parade and keep us nice and small. And and it coexists with our personal power in the solar plexus.
mm,
So which one are you going to feed? Ego or power?
mm.
And power is not a dirty word. It's a mandatory word.
I just realized something, Mary, that everybody's already selfish in different ways. So the person that is doing something that doing all the things for everyone else, they're selfishly doing that because of how they want everyone to perceive them. They
Yes.
want to be liked and they want to be seen as like, wow, they're such a nice person and they're so generous and they do all these things. So that's
And here,
being selfish if you do
that's
all
being
those things.
selfish, but it's being selfish by giving up your personal power because
Mm-hmm.
you have no control over whether or not that's how people perceive you.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And do all the things around the house and prevent your children, family, friends from grandchildren from learning those skills themselves, you're also being selfish. You're getting to
Yes.
stay in control by doing everything the way that you want it to be done, and you're taking away from their ability to learn those skills themselves.
Yeah. And then you go and tip back the refrigerator at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Because what
yeah.
we're doing is stuffing down those uncomfortable feelings, that resentment and everything. And we're saying, rather than feel them and deal with them, we're just going to medicate them.
Hmm. There's another word that came up in our group call 2 days ago, the word needy. And we found that for the women, especially, it was kind of a triggering word because admitting that they have needs, it made them feel like they were being needy. And needy has this negative connotation, especially for women or children. Stop being so needy. What do you think about that?
It's a hard lesson to learn.
Mm.
Anytime we're needy, we're giving away personal power.
Mm.
If in fact it requires a specific response from whomever we want to fulfill our needs.
Mm.
It's different though if you say, I need time to myself,
Mm.
and somebody says, don't be so needy. You can say, not needy, it's a fact. It's a
Mm.
fact. I need time to myself. I need you to help me make this happen, or I don't need you to help me make this happen. Whatever it is, I need time for myself.
Mm.
That's being honest. That's being communicative. And we all have some needs. I think the downside of needing this is needing your spouse to love you because his shirts look good, needing your
Mm.
kids to be in charge of your happiness so you'll feel fulfilled as a mother. That's ugly needy, right? That's just clingy needy. But
Mm.
having needs, we all have them. I mean, even right down to our sex lives, right? I shouldn't have to tell my partner what I want, what I need, in this moment kind of thing. And it's like, how would they know? How would they know?
Mm.
If it's not your job to tell them and you want them to be a mind reader. So we just think, well, if I have to tell them, then forget it. And it doesn't matter what the subject is. And it's like, well, if you don't tell them, then that's a great way to assure you're not going to get it.
Mm.
The other thing is, if you need others to make you happy, but you don't know what will make you happy, then you're just dragging people along for the ride. What
Mm.
is happiness? What does it look like? Define it, share it, and if others can give it to you, they'll let you know. And if they can't, they'll let you know. But nothing beats honest communication with yourself and with others.
So I realize needy is the state of expecting others to meet your needs, whereas having needs is just a human condition. Human existence means we have needs.
And you're responsible for meeting them
Yeah.
by communicating.
Mm-hmm.
Some you can do all by yourself, and some you need others. But having needs is human. Being needy, that's an approach to life that you have control over. And it's not attractive. It's not attractive.
Well, there are certain personality types are going to be really attracted to that, but that's a whole other topic and episodes that we don't need to. That is for a different show, different
Moving
podcast.
right on to our next topic of victimhood.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I'm sure there's a podcast for that. Well, Mary, this has been amazing, and just I'm hoping that everyone else that's listening to this now or in the future, that it also brings up equally multiple layers. We talked about at the very beginning about how you need to heal on multiple levels, and I hope that this topic brings up multiple insights for people and opens up possibilities.
I would be remiss if I didn't just put out a plug for my book, Being Woo Woo in an Engineered World.
No, that's amazing.
It's
What's your
available on my website, marygleasonconsulting.com, and it's available on Amazon, Being Woo Woo in an Engineered World. It talks a lot about what we just talked about today and so much more. And I would love to hear from people who have questions about it or would like to know more.
MaryGleasonConsulting.com? Did I spell that right there on the screen?
You did. Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. Anything else, Mary, besides the book? Anything else that you were hoping I would ask about, or that you would like to share at this time?
I would just say your intuition is your best friend. Listen to it. And in order to listen to it, you have to know how it shows up for you. And it shows up for you in the darndest ways. Those hinky feelings that sometimes creep in. I don't know why I feel this need to turn left. It doesn't make any sense to turn left. That kind of stuff. I don't know. I feel like I should take an umbrella today, but it's all sunny out. Take the umbrella. What I'd like to say is your intuition is the only thing that exists just for you and wants nothing from you. When you get in touch with your intuition about what it is you really do need, what it is you really do want, where are the places that you want to be a little more selfish in your life, your intuition will guide you there. Trust it. Your intuition does not sound like what other people might think. Your intuition doesn't sound shaming or whatever. That's ego. Just trust it. The more we learn to lean into our intuition, the greater our life finds its way to the flow of what's right for us. The shoulds and nots are going to kill you.
My intuition just put a phrase, a thought in my head.
Do we want to know it?
Yeah, would you? I just had this thought, and I want to see if the people that you've worked with, if you maybe think this may be true or not. But I think that a lot of people that are afraid of being selfish, they often judge a lot of others as being too selfish. And so they want to avoid that, like, oh, well, that person's so selfish and that person's selfish, and I don't want to be like that. Would you think then that means, so if you're listening to this and you have the thought often that, like, wow, I know a lot of people that are really selfish and I don't want to be like them, would you think that that's a litmus test then that says that person probably needs to be more selfish?
We are all always talking about ourselves. We are. And I hate that, because sometimes I'll hear myself saying or thinking something and I'll go, oh, no, I don't want that to be about me. But we are all always talking about ourselves. And when people think that somebody else is being too selfish, I don't mean the brat who's asking for the third scoop of ice cream in the ice cream shop. I mean selfish by the woman who says, no, I'm not going to do that this time. Oh, she's so selfish. She's just showing you something really, really important, and you're not ready for it. And I would sincerely ask people to sit down and write for themselves a positive definition of selfish. Now go live into it.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah.
Write for yourself a mission statement or a mantra, a definition. Write the word selfish and write a definition of it for yourself. What does it look like to live a selfish life in a positive way?
Yes. Yes. And I'm not saying throw over all your responsibilities. That's not reasonable. It's not possible. It's not okay to do that. But my idea of selfish is being able to get to the gym 3 days a week. My idea of selfish is no longer doing X, Y, and Z around the house. My idea of selfish is saying no to some of those endless volunteer jobs I'm being asked to take on. Whatever it is, write it down and live it.
Hmm.
And then when that starts to feel really good, expand it. You know,
Hmm.
um,
Yeah. I think.
everyone's saying don't do anything more for your family. That's silly. We live in a co-op. We have
Hmm.
to do things, but you don't have to do everything.
Hmm. I'm thinking for my ladies, some of the things that they may want to put on their definition of living a selfish life in a positive way would be asking their family not to have certain foods in their house that are not healthful for them, that they are not able to resist. Being able to take 1 hour a week to attend a group call with our other ladies, 1 hour a week for themselves to do that.
Right. And
Um,
sometimes it's a going to a family reunion and not having to explain to Aunt Alice why I'm not eating her potato salad.
mhm,
It's
mhm,
taking good care of me and just eating without feeling rude the things that are good for me. I mean, oh, I couldn't hurt her feelings. Oh, I had to do this. I had to do.
mhm.
No, no, no.
One of my ladies, Penny, came up with the greatest thing. I love it so much. Is that if you're at a family gathering, any kind of an event where there's all kinds of foods, and you've got the food pushers, the ones that are like, "Oh, have you tried this? Have you had this? Have you had that?" She said she just came up with it one time, and now she uses it all the time. That if somebody's like, "Oh my gosh, have you had the apple pie?" She says, "Isn't it good?
Just leave it at that.
Isn't it delicious?"
Mhm.
And they're like, hmm. So then it makes them assume, oh, she already had it. I don't need to keep bugging her about it.
Well, and the other thing is when it's the apple pie baker,
Mm.
they are showing you how unattractive it is to need other people's um, love and acceptance for them to know they made a damn fine apple pie. So it's just another way of being needy without the self respect you really want.
Mm. Mm.
I liked my pie, and if nobody else eats it, more for me. Of course, that's probably a bad example for your listeners, but I'm just saying the attitude
Mm.
um, of that. So
Yeah.
I like that. Wasn't that something? Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that.
Mm. Awesome. Oh, I love it. Penny, we wish you well. And Mary, thank you so much for being here. This is amazing. I'm sure we could talk for hours and days on end about all of this. So hopefully we can have you back again and speak on another topic. But there's an assignment we're leaving you all with. An action item is to create a definition of the word selfish. What's a selfish life look like for you? That's a positive thing.
A
That you,
positive definition. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I love it. Well,
Thank
go
you.
check
And
out. Okay.
no, you wrap it up. You go ahead.
Go check out Mary's work, marygleasonconsulting.com. It's Mary. Gleason is Gleason, consulting, spelled the normal way.com. And thank you so much for being here. And thank you all for tuning in to Keto Chat for Women. And if you're looking for some help with keto, check out my website, ketocarole.com. Carole has an E on the end. And if you'd like some more help in exploring your intuition, Mary has a lot of really great um, consulting services she does. So check out her website, sign up for her blog, and thank you all for being here today.
Thank
See
you,
you next
Carol.
time.
Bye
Bye
bye.
now.